Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at FreshBooks. Go to freshbooks.com/Arel. In the How Did You Hear About Us section, put The Art of Likability. You'll get 30 free days of their awesome invoicing, expense tracking, and get paid faster software.
What's going on, Art of Likability family? Arel Moody here, your host of the Art of Likability podcast, where you listen to this podcast and you immediately will get six-pack abs, sculpted shoulders, really bulging biceps, and your body weight will drop below 10%. Only if you work out and eat cleanly. Listening to the podcast alone is not going to give you those results, but it's good to dream, isn't it? But if you listen to this podcast while you work out, while eating, a lot of vegetables and high protein and low fat, I'm sure the same results would eventually happen. Anyhoozle, moving on to today's episode. So excited you're joining us this week. It's been really great. 2017 has been kicking off with some fire. And I want to give you a strategy / tip / way of being / mindset / actionable strategy. Now, most people, they go through the world living a very, what I like to call, I-centered approach. Like the letter I, not E-Y-E, like your eyeball, like I-centered. So if you watch a lot of people, and you can just notice it, just now that I'm bringing this to your attention, I just want you to be aware of it. Look at social media, look at people's websites, look at, resumes, if you can get people's resumes. But if you look at it, it's very I-centered. It's like, here's what I'm doing. Here's why people like me. Here's why I'm doing incredible things. I would encourage you to move from being I-centered and be more service-centered. Actually start thinking about how can you increase your service to others. So even when you're doing something that is benefiting you or that is improving you or you're delivering it, whatever it might be, I want you to move your language to being service-centered language. I'll give you an example. I just gave a speaking engagement, okay, in Washington State. It was really great. I spoke to some great students out here. It was really high energy, really impactful for the students, so much so that students were coming up to me afterwards and asking me to autograph their foreheads and their arms and their backpacks and their phone cases and their hats and just a bunch of other things in between. So, I had someone come up to me and say, wow, you must be feeling like a celebrity right now. And I could have said, yeah, I did a great job. Of course, these students love me, right? That would be an I-centered approach, an I-centered response. Instead, what I said, and what I encourage you to see what the message behind it is I said, I'm glad there was such a connection between me and the students. That means that the message was well received. I didn't make it about me. And as a leader, as someone who's looking to become more likable, no matter how many times people throw something at you, your job is to move it toward how it's service-centered. So the fact that people were asking, the fact that people were asking me for my autograph is not I'm great as a speaker. It's because there was such a connection that was built with the audience. It was about the service to the audience. Think about this in any way you can respond, right? So you just finished a project at work and your boss says, John, you did one heck of a job, John. You're a heck of a job doer, John. John, the way you do that job, you do it great, John. Now, an I-centered response would have been like, thank you, I am really hardworking, so I appreciate you acknowledging it. That's I-centered. Service-centered is, you still say thank you, right? So you say thank you for the compliment. It was an honor to be a part of the team. It was an honor to be a part of a group that's making a difference, and I'm glad I could do my part to be a part of it. It's service-centered. It's other-centered. You want to start realizing and catching for yourself how many times you respond from an I-centered perspective and how much you're responding from a service-centered perspective. Even when you're building your own brand, even when you're moving forward, I really encourage you to lean toward being more service centered, others oriented with your language. It feels better on the ear for people, and it shows that you are a team player. Now, a lot of times people say things like, "Oh, but Arel, but what about me, man? I'm trying to get all this credit. I'm trying to climb this ladder, the golden ladder of success, and I need people to know I am a living legend. There should be national parks named after me, and I need to make sure everybody knows." Well, the truth is, your work will stand for itself. You don't have to tell people how great you are. When you do great work, the cream rises to the top. People are going to recognize and acknowledge that this was done because of you. Now, if you have a fear that's not going to happen, well, it might mean that you might have to give more and do more work. Now, sometimes people say, well, Rel, what happens if somebody's stealing my credit? What about that one? What if I do all the work and my boss takes all the credit? Well, one, that stinks. I'm sorry you're going through it. But two, your boss is going to know where their energy is coming from. And if you feel like the credit wasn't really properly distributed, well, that's going to show up the next time when you do your project and maybe you focus on working on a different project or something that makes your presence not felt. The thing is, when your presence is felt, that's key. There are going to be times when you have to eat the bullet. There's just, unfortunately, there's no way around it. You can't expect to be a great leader, to be of service, and to expect every single thing you do to be acknowledged properly by every single human being. But over time, you're going to build a very strong case for yourself. You're going to become someone that is, life wouldn't be the same without you. All right. So don't worry about those isolated incidents, those couple of times that your ego gets in the way. Just focus on doing good work, because it's not like you're just going to do good work one time. You're going to continue to do work all the time. And then eventually people are going to notice this is the person getting things done. Now, I know that may not sound great if you feel like you're not getting like the shine and the love and all the stuff that you want right now. But over the long run, you're going to be in a much better position. People are going to like you. You're going to be humble. You're going to show that you care. It's a really great position to be in, okay? So I want you to start becoming more aware in your responses, your answers, your social media posts. Are you being I-centered, where it's all about you, or are you being service-centered, other-centered, okay? And especially if you're somebody who is an entrepreneur, or you're someone who deals with clients or you serve clients, being service centered is really at the fundamental core. It's one of the reasons why I love the partnership that we got with FreshBooks. What they're helping entrepreneurs do is be more efficient in how they can be service centered. So, that's you keeping track of your time, keeping track of your invoices, making sure you're getting the paperwork to people in the way that you need. You're keeping your stuff in track. So I was really excited when FreshBooks did partner with us, because I really do think it's a way for folks to be more service centered in their work that they do, especially if you're a solopreneur or you're doing stuff yourself. So by all means, please check them out. They are making our partnership grow, and I'm really excited to be partnered with them. So if you go to freshbooks.com/Arel and you go there, you get a 30-day free trial. And if you just put in the How Did You Hear About Us section, put the Art of Likability podcast, they'll know that you came from us. It continues our partnership. Everybody wins. You get great stuff. You get to try it out for free. Podcast growth. Everybody wins. Thank you for being service-centered in your duty and putting in what you hear about it when you say Art of Likability podcast. So it's important that you realize everything you do, whether it's servicing clients, whether it's helping your kids, whether it's being in a relationship, whether it's all of that, I want you to move to a service-centered mentality. Some might call it contribution. Some might call it giving. Some might call it, being a good leader. Now, there's another side to it, which is also important. It's the side that a lot of people worry about. It's called the burnout side. The burnout side is when you feel like you're giving, service, helping others. And then you go, but what about me? What about my life? What about what's going on inside of my world, Arel? I acknowledge that. Now, this is the key. You should always be service-centered. That does not mean that you can't be of service to yourself. If you're starting to burn out, if you're burning the candles at both ends, and look, if you're like me, you're a high performer, you're somebody that's constantly working hard, constantly looking to give. Things don't always go your way. People want more and more from you. I get that. I get it. I get it because I live it. It doesn't mean you can't service yourself. And what I mean by being of service to yourself is giving yourself time to enjoy, whether it's a swim in a warm pool or whether it's an ice cream cone or whether it's whatever. Like, make sure you're asking yourself, how do I take care of myself? Because when we do take care of ourselves, it's easier to take care of others. When you're like at your wit's end and you're like running on fumes and you're hungry and you're tired and someone asks you for help, the only thing you think about is what it would be like to throat punch them wearing brass knuckles. But when you're fed and you're rested and, things are going well, if someone asks you for help, it's almost like you look forward to helping them. I've actually found the more we take care of ourselves, the actual better we can be at taking care of others. So take some time to take, but ultimately, like if you really want to know my philosophy on it here, and I guess you do because you listening to this podcast, so you might be a little bit curious on my mental philosophies and such. I think it's, if I had to lean towards one, right? If I had to make an if I had to towards one, I would rather my life be more service oriented and I burn out than being I centered and push people out. Now, obviously, neither is ideal. I get that. And there are going to be people who say, but Arel, what about this beautiful middle? Yes, like for sure. If you can ride the line, do it. Ultimately, if you're going to make a mistake, I'd rather you mistake on serving people too much than on serving just yourself. Because someone who's I-centered, they slowly, think about someone that you know or someone you work with who's always talking about themselves and always talking about how great they are and always talking about how they're up to such cool things. It's annoying. It's like you don't want to talk to that person. Please make sure you're not that person. And if that person does exist, please share this podcast episode with them and say, hey, I listened to a great episode. You should totally listen to it. They may or may not grow. Who knows? Having the mindset of growth is a unique path that not everyone automatically goes to, but you have. And I want to make sure that I can be of service to you and help you. So let me know. I'm reaching out to you right now, the listener, the one listening right now. What are you doing, by the way? I'm always curious what people do when they listen to my podcast. Like, what are you doing right now? Like, can you do me a favor? This is completely off topic, but this is serious because I'm curious. When you listen to this podcast, what do you do? Are you jogging? Are you like mowing the lawn, washing dishes? Are you like pretending to be clipping your toenails, but you're really just listening to me and it's taking you 15 minutes to clip 5 toenails? I don't know what you're doing. Was that a gross visual? Will you imagine a hangnail with a nail stuck in the side of your toe? Those are the worst. But listen, just let me know, what are you doing? But also, not only do I want to know what you're doing when you listen to the podcast, if you're doing anything freaky deaky, don't tell me because I'm not going to want to know, all right? Some of y'all might be questionable up here on this podcast listening. But for everyone else, what are you doing to this podcast? Curious. But also, how can I be of more service to you? What kind of subjects? What kind of topics? I love hearing from you. I had a listener reach out to me and said that they were able to get a really cool opportunity during the Super Bowl because of some strategies they implemented from the podcast. And I was like, oh man, that makes my day. So I'd love to hear from you. What kind of topics do you want to hear about? Any kind of guests that you want to have on the show? Anything you want me to cover? I want to make sure I'm being of service to you. I put together these episodes because I really think they make a difference and will truly build your connections and relationships. And ultimately, relationships and connections with people are our greatest resource and our greatest asset in this world. So let me know what topics you want me to handle. I'm happy to do so. I think you are all awesome. Please make sure to subscribe to our email list by going to artoflikability.com. We have a free report on how to instantly create a more likable self. You can read that, download it if you haven't done so yet. I encourage it. Reach out to me on the social medias at Arel Moody. That's my name, one word, first and last name, Arel Moody. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I still be up on MySpace. Me and Tom be hanging out and talking to each other because there's not that many other people besides me and Tom on MySpace right now. No shade to MySpace. I'm just pointing out the obvious, okay? But connect with me. Let me know how I can help. You guys are rock stars. I'm out of here, y'all. Sending you a big ol' high five. Oh, by the way, if you don't implement this stuff, you just wasted your time. Information ain't gonna do nothing. Implementation gonna do everything. You're awesome. Here's a high five. Psh.